Playing with Power MTG. Powerful cards, powerful formats. Before we get into today's video, I wanted to tell you about today's sponsor, Factor. Factor is a meal service that takes the hassle out of meal prep and planning. Factor's no-hassle prepared meals are designed by dietitians for maximum nutrition and flavor. Unlike other meal services, Factor cooks your meals ahead of time so it arrives ready to heat and eat within minutes. This helps you avoid all the prep work and cleanup that comes with cooking. But this isn't just some fast food or TV dinner style service. These meals offer fresh, never frozen ingredients across a multitude of different preferences. On top of traditional meals, they also offer options like keto, calorie smart, vegetarian, and vegan. There are over 25 meal options each week, so you'll never get tired of the meals delivered to your door. Personally, the best thing about Factor to me is that it offers convenient nutrition. So often the only quick and easy options are fast food or over-processed frozen dinners. Factor's foods help make sure you have something nutritious on hand even when you don't have the time for prep, cooking, and cleanup. It gives you time back to focus on the things you love to do. I am often very busy with friends, family, work, and my hobbies, so Factor frees up my time while still providing great nutrition in the process. So give Factor a try today. There are multiple plans that fit your lifestyle and budget. Use my link or go to go.factor75.com and use the code POGPowerMTG120 for $120 off. Thanks to Factor for sponsoring today's video. When you give them a try, you help support us continue offering you all great content like tonight's game, so thanks. Now, let's start out by showcasing our fighters this evening. First, we have TREY, piloting Tameshi, Reality Architect. This deck grinds value with its commander before closing out the game with an infinite turn combo. TREY's opening hand contains a Mana Drain, Aura of Silence, Lotus Petal, Hallowed Fountain, Chrome Mox, Oboro Palace in the Clouds, and an island. Next, we have Cal, piloting the partner pair of Malcolm Keen-Eyed Navigator and Tana the Bloodsower. This mid-range deck seeks to grind advantage before closing out the game with a Glenhorn Buccaneer combo. Cal's opening hand contains a Mana Drain, Gamble, Jeweled Lotus, Mana Crypt, Veil of Summer, Imperial Recruiter, and a Training Center. After that, we have MACCOY, piloting Kinnan, Bonder Prodigy. This deck seeks to leverage Kinnan's abilities to gain infinite mana, dig through his deck, and close out the game. MACCOY's opening hand contains a Resculpt, Llanowar Elves, Mystic Remora, Misty Rainforest, and his 3 London Mulligans are a Scalding Tarn, Transmute Artifact, and a Polluted Delta. Finally, we have Adam, piloting Kess, Dissident Mage. This deck seeks to close out the game as soon as possible, leveraging Kess's ability to recur additional value from the graveyard. Adam's opening hand contains a Chrome Mox, Dark Confidant, Miscast, Limdul's Vault, Flooded Strand, and 2 Swamps. Without further ado, let's kick off the Zany Zealous Zesty Zombie Zoom. TREY wins the most style points for sleeves and playmat and gets to start us off. TREY draws a card for turn and plays a Hallowed Fountain into play untapped, paying 2 life. He casts a Chrome Mox, imprinting Mana Drain. He casts a Lotus Petal. He cracks his petal to help cast a turn 1 Aura of Silence. The entire table considers running away immediately, thinks better of it, and TREY passes the turn. Cal draws a card for turn and plays a Training Center. Staring at his hand sadly, Cal passes. MACCOY draws and plays a Misty Rainforest. He cracks it, pays a life, and fetches up a tropical island onto the battlefield. He casts a Llanowar Elves and gives the turn to Adam. Adam draws and plays a Flooded Strand. He cracks it, pays a life, and fetches up an island onto the battlefield. Adam ends his turn. TREY draws and plays an island. He casts his commander, Tameshi, Reality Architect. TREY passes to Cal. Cal draws and plays a Stomping Ground into play untapped, paying 2 life. He casts a Jeweled Lotus, paying 2 for Aura of Silence. He cracks his Lotus to help cast his commander, Malcolm, Keen-Eyed Navigator. Cal ships the turn to MACCOY. MACCOY draws and plays an Ancient Tomb. He taps his Ancient Tomb to help cast a Mystic Remora. MACCOY passes. Adam draws and plays a Swamp. He casts a Dark Confidant and gives the turn to TREY. TREY draws and plays an Urza Saga, getting its first counter. He activates Tameshi for 0, returning Hallowed Fountain to his hand. Tameshi triggers and TREY draws. He then returns Lotus Petal from his graveyard to the battlefield. He pays 2 life to help cast Phyrexian Metamorph. It enters as a copy of Malcolm. TREY passes the turn to Cal. Cal draws and moves to combat. He attacks MACCOY with Malcolm. MACCOY takes it and Malcolm triggers, creating a treasure. In his second main phase, Cal channels Boseiju, who endures, targeting Aura of Silence. In response, TREY sacrifices it, destroying MACCOY's Mystic Remora. Now freed up, Cal casts Mana Crypt. He follows it up with an Imperial Recruiter. It enters and he fetches up a Glenhorn Buccaneer into his hand. Feeling much better about his situation, Cal ends his turn. MACCOY draws and casts a Mana Crypt. He passes. During his upkeep, Adam reveals a Reanimate through Dark Confidant. He draws and plays a Swamp. He casts a Chrome Mox, imprinting Ragavan, Nimble Pilferer. He ships the turn to TREY. TREY draws, and in his first main phase, Urza Saga gets another counter. He plays a Tundra for turn. He casts Seal of Removal. He moves to combat and attacks Adam with Malcolm. Adam takes it, and Malcolm triggers, creating a treasure. In his second main phase, TREY activates Tameshi for 3, returning Tundra to his hand. Tameshi triggers, and he draws. He then returns Aura of Silence from his graveyard to the battlefield. He casts a Mana Crypt and passes the turn. During his upkeep, Cal wins his Mana Crypt roll. He draws and casts a Glinthorn Buccaneer. In response, TREY sacrifices Seal of Removal, targeting Cal's Malcolm. In response, Cal casts Veil of Summer. In response, MACCOY casts Flusterstorm, with all copies targeting Veil of Summer. Flusterstorm counters Veil of Summer, Seal of Removal bounces Malcolm, and Glinthorn Buccaneer resolves. Unfortunately thwarted, Cal ends his turn. During his upkeep, MACCOY wins his Mana Crypt roll. He draws, looks at his hand despondent, and passes. During his upkeep, Adam reveals a Yawgmoth's Will through Dark Confidant. He draws and plays a Luxury Suite for turn. He casts Limdul's Vault. He looks at the top 5 and doesn't like what he sees. He pays a life to look at the next 5. He decides to keep this set, shuffles, and rearranges. Adam then passes the turn. During his upkeep, TREY loses his Mana Crypt roll and takes 3 damage. He draws, and in his first main phase, Urza Saga triggers. He floats a mana and sacrifices it. He then fetches up a Mox Diamond onto the battlefield, discarding Oboro, Palace in the Sky. He plays a Tundra for turn. He casts Drannith Magistrate. He moves to combat and attacks Adam with Malcolm. Adam takes it, Malcolm triggers, creating a treasure. In his second main phase, TREY activates Tameshi for 0, returning Tundra to his hand. Tameshi triggers, and TREY draws a card. He returns Urza Saga from his graveyard to the battlefield. Urza Saga triggers, getting its first counter. He casts Sensei's Divining Top. He activates Top, looking at and rearranging the top 3. He activates Top, drawing a card and putting Top on top of his library. He casts an Arcane Signet. TREY passes. At the end of TREY's turn, MACCOY casts Resculpt, targeting Cal's Glinthorn. Glinthorn exiles, and Cal creates a 4/4 elemental. The turn moves to Cal. During his upkeep, Cal wins his Mana Crypt roll. He draws and recasts his commander, Malcolm, Keen-Eyed Navigator. He moves to combat, attacking Adam with his elemental. Adam takes it, and Cal ends his turn. During his upkeep, MACCOY loses his Mana Crypt roll and takes 3 damage. He draws, still doesn't see the action he needs, and ships the turn to Adam. During his upkeep, Adam reveals a Mystical Tutor through Dark Confidant. He draws and plays an Ancient Tomb. He casts a Soul Ring and gives the turn to TREY. During his upkeep, TREY loses his Mana Crypt roll and takes 3 damage. He draws, and in his first main phase, Urza Saga gets another counter. He plays a Tundra for turn. He casts Sensei's Divining Top. He activates Top, looking at and rearranging the top 3. He activates Tameshi for 1, returning Tundra to his hand. Tameshi triggers, and TREY draws. He returns Seal of Removal from his graveyard to the battlefield. He then activates Top, drawing a card and putting Top on top. He moves to combat and attacks Adam with his copy of Malcolm. Adam takes it, Malcolm triggers, creating a treasure. TREY passes. During his upkeep, Cal loses his Mana Crypt roll and takes 3 damage. He draws and plays an Exotic Orchard for turn. He moves to combat and attacks Adam with his Elemental token and TREY with Malcolm. Adam blocks with Dark Confidant. Confidant dies, and TREY takes it, triggering Malcolm, creating a treasure. All through, the turn moves to MACCOY. During his upkeep, MACCOY wins his Mana Crypt roll. He draws and plays a City of Brass for turn. He passes. Adam draws and casts a Reanimate, targeting his Dark Confidant. It enters, and Adam loses 2 life. He casts an Arcane Signet and ends his turn. During his upkeep, TREY loses his Mana Crypt roll and takes 3 damage. He draws, and in his first main phase, Urza Saga triggers. He floats a mana and sacrifices it. He fetches up a Soul Ring onto the battlefield. He casts Mishra's Bauble. He cracks it, looking at the top card of MACCOY's library, and then TREY assures him that he's in for a treat. TREY plays a Tundra for turn. He activates Tameshi for 0, returning Tundra to his hand. Tameshi triggers, and TREY draws a card. He returns Urza Saga from his graveyard to the battlefield. Urza Saga triggers, getting its first counter. Forgetting about the land drop from before, he once again plays a Tundra. Whoops, magic is hard. He activates Tameshi for 0, returning Tundra to his hand. He returns Mishra's Bauble from the graveyard to the battlefield. He cracks Mishra's Bauble, looking at the top card of Cal's library. TREY then moves to combat, attacking Adam with Malcolm. Adam takes it, and Malcolm triggers, creating a treasure. TREY ends his turn. During his upkeep, Cal loses his Mana Crypt roll and takes 3 damage. Also in Cal's upkeep, TREY draws 2 cards through his Mishra's Bauble. He draws and casts a Tenderwall. He moves to combat, attacking Adam with the Elemental and TREY with Malcolm. Adam blocks with Dark Confidant. Confidant dies again, and TREY takes it, triggering Malcolm, creating a treasure. In his second main phase, Cal transmutes Muddle the Mixture, fetching up a Twin Flame into his hand. Cal passes. At the end of Cal's turn, MACCOY casts Geistwave, targeting Drannith Magistrate. In response, TREY hard casts Force of Will, countering Geistwave. The turn moves to MACCOY. During his upkeep, MACCOY wins his Mana Crypt roll. He draws and plays a Gemstone Caverns for turn. He passes. Adam draws and casts Rhystic Study. He casts a Mystical Tutor. In response, TREY casts a Mystical Tutor of his own. TREY fetches up a Capture of Jingxiao onto the top of his library. Then Adam fetches up a Cyclonic Rift onto the top of his library. Adam sends the turn to TREY. During his upkeep, TREY loses his Mana Crypt roll and takes 3 damage. He draws, and in his first main phase, Urza Saga gets another counter. He sacrifices Aura of Silence, destroying Rhystic Study. He casts Surveyor's Scope. He activates Surveyor's Scope, exiling it and fetching up 2 islands onto the battlefield. He moves to combat and attacks Adam with Malcolm. Adam takes the hit, Malcolm triggers, and creates a treasure. In his second main phase, TREY casts Capture of Jingxiao. In response, MACCOY taps his City of Brass to help cast Muddle the Mixture. In response, TREY hard casts Force of Negation. In response, Cal cracks his treasures to cast Mana Drain, targeting Capture of Jingxiao. Mana Drain counters Capture, and Force of Negation counters Muddle the Mixture, exiling it. Next, TREY plays a Polluted Delta. He cracks it, pays a life, and fetches up a Mystic Sanctuary onto the battlefield. It enters untapped, and TREY puts Capture of Jingxiao from his graveyard onto the top of his library. He then activates Tameshi for 3, returning Urza Saga to his hand. Tameshi triggers, and TREY draws. He returns Aura of Silence from his graveyard to the battlefield. All set up for the next turn, TREY passes the turn to Cal. During his upkeep, Cal loses his Mana Crypt roll and takes 3 damage. He draws, and in his first main phase, he adds 5 colorless through Mana Drain. He casts Twin Flame, targeting Imperial Recruiter. Holding priority, he flashes in a Dualcaster Mage. In response, TREY sacrifices Seal of Removal, bouncing Imperial Recruiter to Cal's hand. Dualcaster enters, and Cal copies Twin Flame, targeting Dualcaster Mage. Cal demonstrates a loop of copying Twin Flame with Dualcaster and targeting Dualcaster Mage to make a copy of it. He repeats this process until he has 1 billion Dualcaster Mages with haste. He moves to combat and attacks with his army, and Cal wins the game. Ladies and gentlemen, what a great game. Congrats to Cal on his win. He was able to grind through the mid game after his turn 2 win was disrupted, amassing a huge pile of treasures, and had the right cards at the right time to close it out in the end. The most valuable card in tonight's game goes to Tameshi, Reality Architect. Though TREY didn't end up winning, Tameshi created so much value through its combination of card draw and graveyard recursion. It was especially apparent when paired with cards like Urza Saga. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode. Tune in next time when we duke it out to see who will be king of the competitive EDH table. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.